Got to remember that microphone. It's got me in the past. I'm trying to remember it every time I get back on here. Welcome back. We're ready to move on to the next team that we're going to preview. I actually forgot to do this on the previous one. I was supposed to do this for Thibodeau as well, but sorry about that. I apologize. We're now going to spotlight the next team in our high school series here, and we're looking at Terrebonne High School out of Houma, Louisiana. This is the Terrebonne Tigers that we're about to take a look at. All of these teams, by the way, are available for download if you want to download them and put them into your college football 26 game and play as any one of these teams. You're welcome to do so. Username to download is Dreadwind94 down there at the bottom. Just put that in the search. Make sure you put it in under the username search, not the keyword search, and then it should pull up all of my teams that I have available. I've got these all these high school teams available. All eight of these teams are available, as well as 10 of the Southland Conference football teams, college football teams as well for the yes. But we're going to get on to Terrebonne now. So Terrebonne High School out of Houma, Louisiana. They were a 4A school back in the 80s and 90s. They've since moved up to 5A, I believe. Notable alumni from LSU. I'm sorry. Notable alumni from Terrebonne include Mark King, who was an offensive lineman for LSU. Richie Cunningham, who was a kicker who went on to the NFL to kick for a few teams in the NFL, most notably the Dallas Cowboys. And most recently, Mason Smith, who is a defensive tackle currently for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Those are all notable alumni from Terrebonne High School. All right, let's take a look at their uniforms now. These are their default home uniforms that I have on the game. Now, these are recent uniforms that I base this off of. Unfortunately, they're not the actual current uniforms. So if you look up Terrebonne High School and see what they were playing just this past weekend, they're not going to be in these uniforms. Unfortunately, they changed them for some reason. I don't know why. I am not changing these. I'm sorry. These are the uniforms I'm sticking with. I'm not going to the new ones because, quite frankly, the new ones suck. And I can say that because I am an alumnus of Terrebonne High School. This is actually my old high school that I went to. In fact, one of my good friends, longtime friend that I went to school with, is a teacher there now, and even she agrees the current uniforms suck. Um, Let me show you. They went from this, which is what as you can see, that's what I base mine off of. And these uniforms are absolutely, oops, I'm sorry. These uniforms are absolutely, I mean, yeah, that's money right there. These uniforms are outstanding. I don't know why they went away from these, but they went from that to this. Yeah, and this, I'm sorry if that's you in the picture. I'm not trying to single anybody out here, but it looks like they went backwards. These look like uniforms from the 1970s and early 1980s. They look like the uniforms. Terrebonne went to the state championship back in 1983. They didn't win the state championship, but they made it to the championship game. And that's kind of what they look like. They look like 1983 uniforms. I'm not a fan of those at all. To me, it was a step backwards. These uniforms are absolutely money. That's fire. That's whatever hip slang word you want to use right now. That's what they should have kept stuck with. So that's what I modeled my uniforms off of, and I didn't realize those other ones were actually more current than these. So I had already made these, and when I found out that they were using the other ones, I was like, I'm not changing them. Sorry. So we got these uniforms for this game. The away uniforms. This is what the away uniforms look like. And once again, you can swap the pants if you want. You know, you can go that and that, or if you want to go that and that, you can do that as well. Now, the next set of uniforms is going you're going to see is I'll label them classic uniforms. These are the uniforms that they wore when I went there. And these are very, very faithful recreations. Yes, the gold pants were that color gold, and the gold on the face mask was that color gold. We had two different gold for those uniforms. We had the yellow gold on the face mask and the more pure gold for the pants. But this is what you're looking at is exactly what those uniforms look like back in the early to mid 90s. The only difference between this uniform and those uniforms is that we didn't have a logo on the side of our helmet. We just had plain red helmets, which most of us did not like. So they would eventually get the THS logo a few years later, and it was kind of done up in that Texas A&M style. So again, creative liberties. I just decided to throw that on there, include that on these uniforms, even though we didn't necessarily have that back then. I wanted that rather than just a plain red helmet. Most of us didn't like the plain red helmets. Most of us wanted to have some sort of logo on there. So that's on there. But aside from that, these are pretty spot on to what our uniforms look like back in the early 90s. The away uniforms looked like this. Uh, One difference is sometimes we would wear this, and sometimes we'd wear this. Another option, of course, is sometimes we would wear this. So, you know, but primarily, oops, I guess you see what's coming up. Primarily, it was the gold pants with both the home and away, but I included the red pants because that was an option as well, and it does look good with the away uniform. So the fifth and final option, which you can probably guess, is a blackout option, and this is based off of an actual recent blackout option uniform that they do have. This is pretty spot on. I don't have a reference picture to pull up, but this is um, pretty much from top to bottom, head to toe. This is pretty much exactly what it looks like. So, pretty cool option that I included there for them. They got kind of a chrome style helmet with the current logo on it and everything. Really cool uniform option that I included on here. So, we're going to do this, and let's go ahead and throw. Let's put the classical ways out there for comparison. And we're going to go through the roster real quick. And then we're going to move on to another team. All right. So let's pull up that depth chart. And here's what we got. We've got our starting quarterback as Brian Dixon, number 18. He is a tall, lanky, pure pocket passer, senior quarterback, so he's got a little bit of experience. Behind him is Pete Burks. This is a dual threat quarterback with a cannon for an arm, and I can tell you that from personal experience. That's one of the guys that I went in and I did adjust his ratings a little bit. So some of these players, I did tweak their ratings just a little bit where I felt it was necessary um, and appropriate. In this case, we're talking minor adjustments. If somebody had a speed of 91, I might have bumped them down to 89 speed. If somebody had an 89 speed and I felt they should be faster, I might have bumped them up to a 91. But we're talking minor adjustments. In this case, I wanted to make sure that it reflected that he had a strong arm because this cat had a really strong arm. So I made sure his throwing power reflected that. So I've got him a 95 throwing power. Um, this dude could throw the ball. He would eventually go on to play for Arkansas for a year or two, I believe. I believe he at least started for 1 year. Unfortunately, he didn't do very well and ended up transferring to, I think, Grambling and was basically never heard from again at that point. But talented guy, all-state quarterback, and earned himself a trip to a SEC school. So, not bad at all. Here's one of the guys that I had to alter his name. His last name is actually Vitter, Vitter, Stuart Vitter. But I had to alter that. So Stuart Vitt is the third string quarterback. He's, again, pretty much a prototypical pocket passer. And then we've got a couple other guys down here. All right. Here's another name I had to alter. His real name is Kenyatta Celestine. The app would not take that. It kept triggering that filter every single time, every configuration I could think of, so I had to shorten it down to Ken. So I apologize for that. It was the only way I could get you in there, buddy. Um, All-state running back. This guy can take it the distance. He's definitely a game breaker. Shifty, fast guy. Also a threat out of the backfield. So keep an eye out for him when he's on the field. Mike Crawford, also a threat. Another guy that can juke you. He could kind of run you over a little bit. Another guy to watch out for when he's in there. They don't lose much. Jerome Amaker and Henry Mortensen. Henry Mortensen will run you over. Clint Johnson is our fullback here. Wide receiver is Alvin Celestine. He is a playmaker. He's also a great kick returner, punt returner. Definitely a playmaker on the football field when he's out there. Look out. Chris Diggs, solid wide receiver. He'll make some tough catches for you. Lee Lena, tall, lanky guy. Latrance Turner, Corey Stoves, and James Shamlin round out the starting receivers. There's a couple more guys down here as well that would work in eventually. Jared Crochet is our starting tight end with Melvin Piku backing him up. Chan Dufran is our starting left tackle. Jason Cole starting left guard. Scott Keller is the starting center. Chad Thibodeau backing him up. Clyde Scott, nicknamed Tank, starting right guard. Jason Cooper. Got Sean Harding. And where's the other guy? Here, down here. Troy Gray. He should be up there. I don't know why I didn't put him up in there. He should be the backup. I don't know why it does that. That's weird. He's obviously rated higher, but I don't know why the computer does that. That's all CPU, but folks. David Gode, number 55, left edge rusher. He will definitely tear. He'll make a play. Joey Savoy, again, good two good defensive ends right here. Two really good defensive ends. There's your backup defensive end. Kurt Boudreaux in the middle with Quandell Shepard. I'm sorry. Been a minute. Some more defensive tackles. Gerald Stewart. Watch out for him at Sam linebacker. Eugene Johnson, solid linebacker in the middle right there. Matt Brewer at outside linebacker. Kevin Tillman and Mark Barrett at cornerback. Both of those guys are experienced and talented. We've got some backup defensive backs here. Just go through them real quick. Ryan Aber is a starting safety. And then we've got Linwick Harding is our starting strong safety. So, kicker Avery Domingue and Kyle Fields with Billy Walk as the punter. So there we go. So this team is, let me go ahead and get into the game. We'll get some gameplay going and I'll go over why I chose this roster. This is primarily based off the 92-93 roster from Terrebonne. And a couple reasons why I went with that. One is because I happen to have the program from back then, so I had the information to pull from, as well as a couple of yearbooks. And you could say, well, why didn't you do the 83 team? You said the 83 team made it to the state championship. They did make it to the state championship. Um, it's hard enough to get some of this roster information from guys from the 90s, but to get them from the 83 would have been next to impossible. I did not have that information to begin with. And the other reason is that while they did make it to the state championship, a great accomplishment, not knocking that accomplishment at all. Um, Terrebonne did kind of fall on tough years there after that, kind of in the mid to late 80s. They weren't so hot. The 92 team was really significant in kind of bringing Terrebonne back to prominence. This is the team that kind of kickstarted, not kind of, they did kickstart a 4-year run of four straight playoff appearances, and then starting with the 90, that's the 92 team, and starting with the 93 team the very next year, they kicked off a run of three straight district championships. So not only did they have success, they had sustained success over those periods of years. And the 93 team actually made it to the state semifinals. So not quite to the state championship, but damn close. So a lot of success with that team, with that those particular teams from that era. And again, the 92 team kind of kicked all that off, and they were right there with the 91 team that won the Thibodeau 91 team that won the state championship in 5A. They actually played that team really close. I think Thibodeau won, but it was a tough game. They played them pretty tough. So that's that's kind of my reasoning behind that, and that's why I went with that. And again, I'm familiar with this team. I'm familiar with uh, a lot of the players on it, and I had the information available to me. So that's primarily why I went with it. But they were a significant team in that they kicked off a good run of success that Terrebonne was able to enjoy for a few years. All right, so that's Terrebonne. Now I think what we're going to do is move on to the next team. So let's do that. Let's get this show rolling, and I will be right back.